Hello, hello! Jeff Helvin here from Ballen Brands, and today I'm going to show you how we route leads from our various lead sources into Infusionsoft. So here you're going to see I'm at a website called Parsey.com, and what we can do here is it actually intercepts our email lead notifications, and then we set up actions in Parsey to insert that into Infusionsoft, so it has a direct integration. Now, Parsey actually does quite a few other things outside of just lead routing. It creates contacts, which is what we're going to focus on here. You can create opportunities, appointments. There's API goals. We can create notes and tasks. I mean, there's really quite a bit it can do. Today, we're going to focus here strictly on creating contacts and getting our leads into Infusionsoft. All right, so once you have an account, first thing you're going to do, of course, is log in. It's going to take you to your dashboard, and this dashboard really just kind of shows you a little bit of a snapshot here of kind of what it's doing for you. So there's been 448 emails in this month so far. This is actually one of our client accounts. He allowed us to use this here, and it shows you just basically what it's doing for you. So it's kind of nice to keep a tally there. So what we do is we're going to go to email parsers, and when we set up Parsey, you get a custom email address, and this is basically what we need to do is we need to update any lead notifications that we get to include this email address so that the leads actually go directly here. And what you'll see is we could actually click on this inbox here and get a list of all the leads that are coming in to the system. So once the leads are coming into the system, now we can set up actual email parsers. And you'll see here there's quite a few different ones that we have set up. So we're just going to set up another one. I actually have one set up already like this, but we're going to set up another one just to kind of show you how this works. So we're going to click on Create Email Parser, and we're going to call this one, in this case I want to do these ones here, that New Property Search Lead Notification. So here we're going to do New Property Search Lead Notification, and we can be specific here, or you can make it pretty generic. And then we're going to choose the mailbox. So here we only have the one mailbox, online leads, but you could actually have multiple mailboxes over here for different uses. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and just click Save Email Parser, and you'll see now it's set it up here for us to configure. Now the first thing I want to do is I don't want it to try to parse every email that comes in. As you can see, there's emails for different lead activity notifications and new property search and new leads, things like that. So I want to actually only focus on this new search notification. So if you look, it says New Property Search Lead Notification. That's the subject line of these emails. So I'm going to go ahead over here to Configure and click Filters, and I'm going to add a filter that says I only want to parse emails that have a subject that contains and then that particular string. So New Property Search Lead Notification. So New Property Search Lead Notification. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and click Finished so that we have that set up. So now what will happen is I can set up what's the actual field. So I can set up the parsers now of the field that I actually want to pull out of that information. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Configure and Edit Parser Fields. Okay, so now what we see here is we actually see an example of one of the emails that have come in that match that subject line. Okay, so there's a subject. This is the text version. Here's some HTML. And in this case, it only comes over in text version. So I'm going to add a field. Now I'm really just going to take each of these. So I'm going to do first name first. So I'm going to add a field. We'll call it first name. And then it says highlight the information you want in the email below. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually highlight Jan because that's the value of the first name here. And it says use Jan as the value of first name. I'm going to hit yes. Now what it's going to do is it's going to compare it to another email that matches that same criteria just to make sure that these actually line up. So it shows this one, yes, Jan is correct and Tina is correct. So I'm going to go ahead and hit confirm and I'm all set with that one. So now I'm going to go ahead and add fields. Do last name. And then it's going to ask me again to highlight the last name. So I'll go ahead and highlight that. Use fielding, yes. Let's see if it matches correctly to the two here. In this case it did. Last name Fielding, last name Smith, so that's correct. Confirm. Now I'm going to go to phone number. phone, select the number, we use the value for phone, yes, and it matches, these two match, so I'll confirm. I'll go ahead and do alt phone. You'll notice there isn't an alternate phone selected in or defined in this email notification. So what happens is I really don't have anything I can select. I'm going to select that little space. I'm going to hit yes, and it's going to say, oh, you know, something went wrong. There's nothing for us to pull here. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to show you here now how to customize that. So I'm going to say, I'm going to define how to learn where I want it to pull. So this all works off of strings. So I'm looking for consistency in the email. So in this case, I'm going to put alt, and then this is kind of a code, space, PHN, colon, and then a space. Okay, so what I did is I just defined this here, alt space phone. You can't have actual spaces. Again, this is coding. So in this case, you can't actually have spaces. You have to define that you're looking for a space. And then I want to stop the search when it gets to the next line, which is return. You're not going to know all these obviously offhand, but I'm just kind of showing you how this works so you know that this is possible in what we're doing. So now I'm going to click view because I want to see over here what it's going to collect. And you see it doesn't select anything because of course it can't. In this case, there's nothing there to select. But I'm pretty confident that that's going to work the way I want it to, so I'm going to go ahead and hit confirm. All right, so I'm going to add field for email. Save it. I'm going to select this value. Yes. It's going to compare two emails. Okay, and those both look like email addresses, so I hit confirm. I'm going to add a field for area. Yes. Okay, now check this out. So here I have area selected, Bristow, and then here area should be Stafford, should be what's selected, but it's not. Okay, so this tells me that this is not, whatever it's trying to do for me automatically is not consistent, it's not accurate. So I'm going to go ahead and click set manually, and we'll get to see this one work. So basically what it's saying is looking for the first space and then taking everything after it, which of course that's not going to work. So I'm going to define here area colon space. Okay, so area colon space, and then I want it to stop pulling in whatever the value is at the return, at the line return. So now when I hit view, you'll see now it selects what I want it to select, so I can feel comfortable in confirming that. All right, and then last one is we'll do most recent search. Save that field, and then I want it to pick up everything basically that's in there. So yes, let's see if it picks it up correctly. Okay, match the two different emails together. And most recent search, status active sold, and so forth, and then this, so this looks correct. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit confirm. So now I've actually set up all the different fields that I want to pull out of the email. So now I can configure the actions that I want the system to take with those details. So there's a few different things that we can hook up here. I'm just doing the Infusionsoft integration in this case. So I click on Infusionsoft. Now it wants me to connect to account. Now I've already have this account connected in here, so I'm just going to simply choose this. This could actually work for multiple accounts, but in this case we just have the one. So I'm going to hit save. Okay, so now it's pulling up my actual interface to do what I want it to do. So what I have here is it says, how do I want to define what's the duplication method? Like, how do I want to know whether it's going to create a new contact or recognize that we already have that contact in the system? Now in this particular case for this client, these are contacts that are probably already in a system. So what I want to do is I want it to, instead of create a new contact, I'm going to actually have it add a note to the contact that already exists. So what I'm doing is we're using the primary email address. So basically it's just saying that if the email address of the notification that comes in is the same as an email address in Infusionsoft, then consider that a duplicate record and just update it, don't create a new one. Okay? So in this case, now I get to actually define, okay, I set up alt phone, So which field in Infusionsoft do I want alt phone to go into? So I'm going to have that go into phone 2. Area. Now I don't actually have area as a field that's set up in Infusionsoft, so in this particular customer's account. So I'm not actually going to do anything up here with that field. Okay, email. So I type in email. First name, I want it to go to first name. Last name, I'm going to have it route to last name. Most recent search, okay, same thing. I don't really have anything in the system that matches, so I'm going to leave that alone. And then phone, main phone, I'm going to have go to phone 1. Now what's cool about Parsey 2 is I can now do additional things here. So I'm able to actually apply basically a standard rule to each of these leads that I have routing into the system. So I can define custom values like person types or lead sources, things like that. I can do that all in here just by choosing this. So see, I can do a lead source and say that this came in from website, for example. So I can define that so that basically when this new contact is created or altered in Infusionsoft, that it's taking care of everything for me. I don't have to go back in and re-tag people and apply different values, things like that. So basically I just want to think ahead a little bit here and make sure that I'm using all the automation that's available to me so that I can set up the fields correctly. Now another cool thing that we can do, and I can add multiple custom fields, by the way, really as many as I want. I can just keep adding them. Now the other cool thing that I can do, which is really nice, especially with automation, the way we reach out to our leads as if we're texting them manually, is I can actually choose to take values that we're pulling in and actually process those differently. So for example, if we get a lead that signs up and they use all caps in their name, well then when the system emails them or sends them a text message, it's going to do it in all caps. So it'll kind of be the hi, lowercase, and then comma John. It'll be all capital John. So when that happens, it's a little more obvious that there's some automation in play here because the rest of your message doesn't contain all caps. So what we like to do is try to clean that up a little bit when it comes in. So what this lets us do is I can actually choose the field. So I want first name, and I can choose what to do with it. So I can actually have it just capitalize the first word. I could have it capitalize all words, uppercase all letters, lowercase all letters. I can, if I'm pulling in date fields, I can reconfigure those. Same with numbers. I can also use, if I have just a name field instead of a first name and a last name field, I can actually set it up to where I use just the first word for first name and then everything but the first word for last name. So that's something we do pretty regularly as well. But in this case, I just want to make sure it's all capitalized properly. So I'm just going to capitalize the first word, and then I'm going to insert that into the first name fields. I'm going to add another one and do last name, and then I'm going to capitalize the all words. I guess I should do capitalize all words in both in case they have multiple names, like Billy-Joe, for example. So that would capitalize all words. And then last name, I'll capitalize all again in case of a hyphen, maybe a married name, or like a Del Rio, something like that. So I'll go ahead and insert that into last name. Okay. So now I now have this set up to basically pull in the fields that I want to. And again, it's going to match this email to another email in the system, in the Infusionsoft. So if there's another contact record that has that email, it'll know that it's a duplicate. So I'm going to go ahead and save contact settings. Now in this case, as I mentioned, this is someone who's already in Infusionsoft, these particular leads. So what I'm going to do here is I can do a number of things. As I mentioned when we first started here, I can actually add or remove tags. I can create appointments or opportunities in Infusionsoft. We could even have credit cards route through here. I mean, it's pretty significant what we can do in here. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and I want to do two things. One, let's say I'm going to add a tag. So if this person does this and I want to add a new tag, and let's say I wanted to add like launch autopilot. So autopilot's one of our campaigns. So if I want to launch the autopilot arrival buyer campaign, I simply hit save, and what will happen is a new lead comes in, it gets routed into Parsey. Parsey sends it to Infusionsoft, and Infusionsoft then kicks off the campaign. All of this happens within minutes, so your first text message actually goes out within minutes of the lead registering, which is exactly what we want. Now in this case, like I mentioned, we're not actually going to do a tag because this is someone who's already in the system. So what I'm going to do is I just want to apply a note of what they're doing and append that to their records so that I can keep up. I don't have to go copy and paste information from my email notification I got. I can just have it automatically update my system. So I'm going to go ahead and click add another event here, and I'm going to I want to create a note in the system. So now I get to set the variables of what I want for the note. So I'm going to set a title, and I want to manually set the title, and we're going to say what was this called? New search, new property search. Okay. And then I want to set the type in this case. So is it a call, is it an email, is it an update? These are all things that are pulling directly from your Infusionsoft account. So we'll just call this one update. And then set the description. So now I actually want to take the description from a field that they did. So what I want to do is, what I'm trying to do is a new property search. So what am I interested in? What I'm interested in is their most recent search. That's what I'm after here. So I'm going to go ahead and click most recent search. So now whatever the value of most recent search will actually add automatically as a note in the system. And then in this case here, I'm going to assign the note to a user. So I can either a user in Infusionsoft. So I'm going to actually just make it to the contact's owner because I don't want it to change. If this lead is assigned to a particular user right now, I don't want it to change who that's assigned to. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave that alone. And then I just hit save note. Okay. So this is now adding a note. Again, I can also add a tag still. I could also have it create a new opportunity for me. I can also have it do a lot of different things, but in this case I'm just going to have it do the one item here, so I'll delete that. Okay, so now that I have this all configured and set up, basically what I want to do is I'm going to go back to actions. I'm going to turn it on. Okay, so right now what we don't want is you don't want it to start parsing some of your emails while you're setting this up, so everything's off by default. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on this action. We're all set there, and then from here I'm going to actually go back to my email parsers, and this new property search lead notification, I'm going to go ahead and turn that on as well. So that's it, guys. The next email that comes in is automatically going to get picked up by Parsey. It's going to route into Infusionsoft and apply those actions and do exactly what we just programmed it to do. If you have any questions, love to help out more. You can email us at team@ballenbrands.com, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.